Morning, these are the White Tank Mountains. It was about 10 months ago I was out here to talk about the first volume of the anime, the third from Nozomi. Now that the whole thing's been released and I've watched it all, I thought I'd come back and revisit it. The third, The Girl with the Blue Eye, is a soft sci-fi anime distributed in North America by the Right Stuff's Nozomi Entertainment. I took a look at the first volume when it first appeared almost a year ago, and now that Nozomi has released the entire series and I've gotten around to watching it all, I wanted to revisit those first impressions. The third is set on Earth after a global war where most of the surface is now desert, even drier than around here. Humans live in small towns and settlements, and the deep desert is populated by enough weird mutant monsters such as giant ants and spiders, sandworms, and huge-mawed, tentacle-mouthed monsters that you could stock a whole catalog of 1950s sci-fi movies. The planet is ruled from a gleaming futuristic metropolis by a new race of superhumans called the Third, who've evolved a third astral eye in the center of their forehead. These rulers enforce techno-taboos on the rest of humanity, trying to prevent a repeat of the Great War that devastated the planet. Those rules are sometimes ignored by various tinkerers, mercenaries, and smugglers, including our central character, but the enforcement is harsh and meted out by the Third's robotic auto-enforcers. The central character is the 17-year-old Hanuka, who's also known as the Sword Dancer, a tomboy mercenary jack-of-all-trades who wanders the desert doing odd jobs. She's got a nice sharp sword, and she can slice through just about anything with it. She's got a gun, and she can shoot the eyes out of a sparrow with it. She's got a mobile suit. She's got a tank the size of a mobile home. She doesn't have to actually use the tank herself, though, because her friend and constant companion, Bogey, is an artificial intelligence who runs the tank for her and acts almost as a parent or older brother to her. Hanuka's pretty deadly with all her toys. She and Bogey pay the bills by taking on odd jobs. Just about anything will do. They might run deliveries across the desert or clean out a nest of giant spiders for a client. But Hanuka also has another softer side. She's a sensitive New Age girl who likes long walks in the desert, staring up at the sky at night, picking flowers, reciting poetry, and playing with fireflies. And she likes kids. In addition, as we'll learn in Episode 3, if you hadn't already figured it out from the series title, she's also got one of those third eyes, except, unlike the Third themselves, hers is uniquely blue. This makes Hanuka of special interest to the real Third, of course, especially one named Joganki. The series has several recurring characters who partner with Hanuka in addition to Bogey. Early in the first episode, Hanuka meets the mysterious Ix. She finds him wandering alone in the desert at night and rescues him from some giant ants. He's definitely not from around here, but he's going to start traveling with Hanuka as an observer of sort, and he's also of special interest to the Third. Millie is a young child and special friend of Hanuka. Millie's friendship and happiness is very important to the story and to Hanuka in several ways. And Hanuka will eventually find herself partnered with the mercenary Paif, a sexy mercenary who's very quick on the draw. Once we've set the cast, the series breaks down into several independent story arcs. The first introduces the characters and features a fight with the biggest, baddest auto-enforcer of them all, Blue Breaker.
Magnify. Millie!
Next, Hanuka will be hired to investigate a disturbance out in the deep desert, and then we'll have another story arc about some desert fairies and other spirit folk. All these stories will have a theme in common that reminds me of the Beatles singing All You Need Is Love. Hanuka may fight her enemies with her swordsmanship and that mystic energy called Jii, but in the end she defeats them by smothering them with her sincerity. Oh, she's willing to chop up an unmanned auto-enforcer quickly enough, and she'll take on mutant giant ants and other insects when necessary, but with some regret. But when it comes to her sentient opponents, they eventually give us up because she refuses to kill them. It's sort of Xena crossed with Mother Teresa. And if Steph wasn't sensitive New Age enough, there's a totally mawkish narrator telling us all about Haneka's deepest inner feelings.
Call me Eeks. It really is a pleasure to meet you.
As if she'd been blindsided, something moved within her. How best to describe what she felt at that moment?
That narrator's voice, by the way, doesn't get any easier to take in the Japanese soundtrack. The final episode weaves all these themes together into a grand sentimental conclusion. This soft and sensitive young girl story seems ill-served by the occasional combat action sequences. I mean, talk about mixed messages. I'm not hostile to soft or sentimental stories in general, but I do insist the sentimentality arrives credibly from the characters and not be impedibly imposed by something incredibly sappy, and this show repeatedly caused me to roll my eyes at its sappiness. This was a frustrating series to watch. With each story arc, I kept expecting it to finally get on with it, to break out and tell us something about the Third and how they came to be, how they took charge of the planet, or something about Haneka and what her unusual background is, or just give us a conflict that Haneka wouldn't resolve by becoming the enemy's best friend. There's nobody here who's actually bad. Everyone's just misunderstood. I'm predisposed to like desert landscapes. Most of the story here delivers passable artwork for that. It also has to deliver a lot of very pretty scenes, the kind of sunsets or firefly swarms or blooming flowers calculated to make you go, "Aw, ain't that pretty?" And the art did that well enough, I suppose, and I can't blame the artwork for the story falling back on the gee-whiz visuals so often. I found the character artwork inconsistent, occasionally distracting. In some cases I kept wondering what happened to Haneka's nose. But overall the animation quality is more than adequate for the story. Nozomi's dub is spot on for the kind of kind, gentle mood the story wants to tell, all honey-tongue treacle. I suspect I'm not the target audience for this series. Perhaps tween-age girls might enjoy it more. Overall, the series rates only 2.5 stars in my book. I was more enthusiastic about it based on the first edition when I still had hopes it would break out. Nozomi's first disc has some extras including music videos, and the last disc has the same songs done as hard sub Japanese karaoke. Thanks for listening.